Hello, the whole community members. So today our guest for the discussion is Christina again. So after having her insights on the recent American election, afterwards we already have had our discussion on the planet Venus as well. And now, guys, in this video we will be talking about her point of view, her findings, her research on this most and much awaited transit of the planet Saturn, which is going to be taking place in the month of March. So, like starting from today onwards, only at a time when we are recording this video, there are like lot many planetary shift which is going to be taking place. So, like Mars very soon going to be getting direct in the transit. Then the March is going to be filled with lot many events like eclipse is going to be taking place, lot many planets getting concentrated, Saturn Rahu conjunction. So I just thought, just because all the time I'm just sharing my views on my channel, but it might vary, and if we have another expert, she can give another way of looking at it, another perspective. So because of that, it's going to be two-way discussion on how we both look at this transit of Saturn and what kind of like changes it is going to be bringing in the globe, in a geopolitical kind of situation, and in our personal lives as well, based on our rising sign. So let me welcome Christina.
Thank you, Nipun, for having me back, talking about one of my favorite planets, Saturn. He's definitely an acquired taste, and I think that comes with the age. We learn over time that what Saturn's trying to teach us is very much useful in our journey. So I hope today to bring some positive insights into this transit for some people that may be fearing the results and the outcomes due to the nature of the concentration of the planets. So I've made a short presentation, and at any time, if you want to jump in and say something, please do. It's just more for the audience to have something to see, something to study. So if you want to take a screenshot and, kind of see these points and then see how the transit plays out, these are just my observations and things that I thought of when I was really thinking about what can this transit bring for all of us, and what are we going to see its manifestation as in this world, in this time period. So a lot of the dates that I got are from Drik Pachang's, and I think that's a great resource for a lot of people that are just starting Jyotish. I mean, I use it every day myself to check the Panchang, and I think it's a good way to learn how to see different things, and it's all there for us. You just have to look under each graha. So I will go ahead and start sharing my screen. And let's go in here. Okay, can you see that there?
No, in my screen it says double click to oh yeah, now you can see. Yes.
Sorry, there's a little delay on my end. So Saturn. So I totally thought of you when I found this picture, Nipun, because it really reminded me of what's Saturn in Aquarius. This is a very Shata Bisha type of energy. And as we're leaving the Kumbha energy and going into Meena, I thought this was a great representation of Shani. And then we have here a small mantra that anyone can do on Saturday. So I'll start with this, and this is our Shani transit in Meena. So some of the things that I found as themes for this transit were transcending through meditation, reflection, and inner work, crossing over the ocean of Maya, protection of oceans, animals, and environment, deep sea discoveries, places like the Mariana Trench, sleep, dreams, and daydreaming, and intuition. As we're in this transit right now, and currently, Shukra is in its exaltation. And then we have, the opposite end of that, which is intellectualization. So intuition will be overpowering the intellectual mind. And we also see peace negotiations across the seas and all nations coming together to end war. Now, I know this is kind of contrary to what a lot of people have been saying, but really, I'm doing this from the United States perspective, as we've seen a lot of hostages being released from the Middle East and other countries. So that's where that perspective is coming from. And also, the themes of isolation, seclusion, hospitals, and retreats. So I anticipate at this time that there's going to be a surge in people wanting to go on spiritual retreats, people wanting to go on yatras, maybe even like the whole redesign and reimagining of what our hospital and medical systems are. And of course, there's going to be hard work, routine, a lot of toiling, because you have Saturn here. And an interesting event that just happened was President Trump spoke of trade routes using undersea cables in partnership with India during a meeting with Prime Minister Modi ji on Thursday. And I thought this is definitely an example of this type of energy. Now, the industries that we're going to see kind of booming and taking off, I think, are going to be oil, iron industry, large machines. Here we have something called the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, and also space and aeronautics. Now, what's interesting is that one of the slogans that President Trump had towards the end of his running was drill, baby, drill. He was talking about the oil, and I thought this is exactly in alignment with our Saturn moving into Pisces, bringing that oil out from deep in the ground, maybe even in underwater, like we see here in California and Long Beach. We have a lot of offshore drilling. So this is definitely in that theme. And when we talk about the parts of the body in the Kalpurush Kundli, we're thinking about the knees to the ankles, the feet, and also the subconscious mind. Now, the key dates for this transit are March 29th through June 2nd, 2027. And also, I wanted to mention the Vakri, which is the retrograde, and the Asta, which is the combustion, on February 27th till April 13th. So these are the dates of that when we normally say that it's inauspicious to do anything during these combustion dates. Now, the Vakri is the retrograde, and that will be July 12th to November 27th, and it's a total of 100 days of Saturn retrograde. I also have noted here the eclipse dates. And what's interesting is this upcoming eclipse, which is going to be on the Leo Aquarius axis, is going to be affecting the United States. And if I'm not mistaken, the one in late March is actually affecting, I believe, the area of Newfoundland, which is near Greenland, which is an interesting kind of event, considering the United States was actually kind of, I don't know if it's jokingly, trying to get Greenland. So this is an interesting development. I think we should all watch out for and see what pans out during this transit. Now, also wanted to mention the Kalsarp Yoga, which is April 24th through July 21st. So this is not, of course, a classical text mention, but all the grahas being in this axis is definitely a concentration of energies. And I've noticed in my life when I've seen individuals with Kalsarp Yoga, and also we see the transits of 2020 had a powerful Kalsarp Yoga. So my observation is with this transit is perhaps some of those energies that were starting in 2020 with that yoga perhaps will be kind of coming to their ending at this point. Another interesting event that I thought would be interesting to look at is to look at the last time that Shani moved into Meena Rashi, and this was in 1996. So I pinned this date from exactly 0 degrees because what I've noticed is when planets get to that 0 degree mark, there tends to be a lot of change happening. Now, this time it was also with Shukra, and Ketu was in Revati and Rahu and Chitra. Now, there was a law concerning freedom of speech that was passed at this time called the Communications Decency Act, which is a revision of an earlier 1934 law. Now, this law concerned online third-party generated content. So what does that all mean? Well, I think it's coming into play again now because if we look at the nature of our world, being a content creator is a legitimate career option for a lot of people. So there has to be some kind of laws that protect content creators and also protect the consumers from the type of information that is being disseminated. So I think this year there's been a lot of concern and discourse regarding free speech, content creation, and who is responsible for what is said online. Now, something interesting I saw mentioned was the creation of an Internet Bill of Rights. And I think this is one of the best ideas that we can make a reality to protect consumers and creators from overpunishment. Now, I think Shani's movement into Meena Rashi will bring some resolutions after introspection and revision of these existing laws. So here I just want to share some, some of the names that Shani is called in the 108 names and where we get these ideas of themes of what Saturn is and what it brings. Now, he was called Dhyani. He was also called Yogi and Shantaha, which is calm. And then let me see if I can pronounce this correctly. Sharvisham Sarva Sakshat Karinam Sarva Sadakaha.
Wow, nice. You said it right.
Thank you. Yeah, correct me if I get it wrong. But that's for, all of those who seek realization and all of those who practice sadhana. This sounds like it could be Pisces or be Saturn. So here I think there's a beautiful synergy of energy here happening. In Sarvesham Dharma Swarupaya, the form of all religions. Now we know Saturn doesn't like these types of labels of religion, and Pisces doesn't either. So I think this is another beautiful synergy here with the energy. And then Sarvesham Sarva Mukt Yartham Cha, all for liberation, liberation for all. And I think this is a lot of the energy that I feel is going to kind of play out with this Pisces. And I'm going to talk about two little stories that I found. So where does Shani get this name of Dhyani, and where does he get this, yogi, right? Why do we call him yogi? His nature, tapasvi, with the dark complexion, is said to be the result of his mother Chaya's great dedication to yoga practices done in the sun without food or water. So this way, Shani was born with dark skin because his mother was getting burned by the sun, right? And he inherited his mother's great yogic powers. And when his father insulted his mother, Shani charred him with his gaze. And it was Lord Shiva who came to the rescue, restoring Surya to his effulgence. Due to this, Shani became a Shishya of Lord Shiva. Another story in the Puranas mentions Shani's wife Chitra cursing him with the downward gaze due to her anger of Shani's lack of interest in having children and his Dhyani nature. Okay, so here I just want to point out the nakshatras of Shani, which are always important to take a look at to see who's going to be most affected by these transits. So the nakshatras of Pushya, Anuradha, and Purva Bhadrapada, and below them I have just the energy of the planets and then also the energies of the nakshatra rulers. And then the nakshatras of Meena are Purva Bhadrapada, Pada 4, and Uttra Bhadrapada, and then also Revati. And here's a beautiful picture of the rulers of Pisces, which is Jupiter here, and then below Neptune, which some people may say is not the co-ruler, but when we look at the energies of a lot of what Pisces is, Neptune is very much in harmony of this. And there are some, Jyotishis that do use this. So for those that do, these are the energies of Meena. Now, here is just a synergy of Shani and Meena. So, Shani by nature is a yogi and takes his time. He is the humble son of Surya. Now, some key words to describe Shani, I would say, are patience, service, discipline, dhyana, humility, dedication, pranayama, and yoga. And some things to cultivate would be joy and self-confidence, because Saturn tends to be a very dry planet and cold planet. So in order to maintain a relationship and good energies and good vibes with other people, you have to allow for some joy in your life. And Meena is a watery sign that ends the cycle, and it's ruled by Guru and Neptune. Now, the keywords that I have for Meena are dreams, ecstatic joy, retreat, spirituality, arts, guides, compassion, escape, oceans, and poetry. And for them to cultivate boundaries and self-confidence are important for their journey. So with both planets here, we see that there is a self-confidence that needs to be built. So this is one of the things that I can say that they both can learn to do to make their their life feel a little bit smoother and more rewarding. Now, some remedies I have here are self-care and using food to heal, because see, food is the base of life, and it builds the tissues in the body, and it also, influences the mind. So you want to apply oil before the shower, which is our classic Abhyanga, with sesame or mustard oil, which is a Ushnavirya or a hot potency to balance the dry, cold nature of Shani and bring moisture to the tissues. Now, of course, as the months, may be different for everybody, their experience and their climate, you can definitely, cut those oils with something else not as hot. And you could also cook with sesame and mustard seeds or the oils to bring that into a sort of healing ritual. And also black gram, use that in cooking chana dal. So a couple of things I also noticed is Saturn is in Pisces, which is 3 places away from its own sign. So 3 places away is sometimes seen as a struggle, where it takes a lot of effort to get results. But that doesn't mean that we should give up or, let that be the main focus. Just know that there's going to be a requirement for some extra effort at this time. And when we have Saturn 2 places away from its previous house, we can see the gains from work will begin to show. So this is the positive outcome. If you look at the 12 houses, you look at the Kal Purush, you see the 11th then becomes the 12th. So every house, you gain something from it. So with this gain of the 11th, you gain from the work, but it will be a slow gain as we're talking about Saturn. So we're also having Saturn in Venus's exaltation sign. So, where is Venus? It's actually with his friend Shani. So I think there we have planets with their friends. That brings a different energy than Saturn by himself. So what I would describe this is as a convention of planets being aspected by Ketu. So there will be some karmic endings, but also themes of spirituality. Now, Shani and Meena are both dealing with endings, can be ending bad habits, leaving your birthplace behind for foreign shores, or embarking on a personal spiritual journey. These 2 planets are more concerned with the inner journey. spirituality and the exploration of the nature of reality than being a householder. Relationships and living in a 9 to 5 city existence may be challenging for individuals with these type of natal placements. And when we have Saturn moving into Pisces, the systems of how we spend our time are breaking down and dissolving into a new system for societies. The Lord of Time is now out of his Mole Trachona office and on retreat to contemplate. And stop my share. That's my little presentation there.
No, thanks, Christina. It's like, oh my God, you actually did a amazing job. And like the way I was talking before the start of the discussion, it's like for this discussion, it's like a good cop and a bad cop. So you,
Yeah.
good cop, you try to paint this transit as good, as motivating, as positive as it was possible. But yeah, I might have a different way of looking at it, and we're just going to have our open discussion on that. But before that, I will first start with the kind of dream I had last night.
Yes.
See, the thing is, Christina, I'll tell you what. For me, my 12th house is very accentuated. Okay, I keep on getting those dreams and all, and I get so many of these kind of dreams. I even bought a book, like dream
Oh,
dictionary.
yeah.
The dream
Yes, I
dictionary.
know this.
You know what
Yeah.
happened? What happened? So last night, because today is Saturday at a time, and we are recording this, and I'm already on a Saturday fast. So what happened? I saw in the dream that someone entered my house. I'm in the house, and I actually tried to tower over that guy. Try to, hey, who you are, why you are here. I did not talk. I just trying to make him go out of my house. He keeps on going out, out, out. He took off from the fence, and while he was going away, he said "Sade Sati" to me. I was like, is Sadhasati getting over? I am shoving and pushing Sadhasati away from my life because I'm a Aquarius moon. So I'm already in the middle of the Sadhasati. I was like, when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, oh my God. So it actually happened. So yeah, that was one of the thing. Now, okay, starting with our discussion, Christina. So see, Christina, I'll be very honest with you. I will just start my interpretation on this on a very global standpoint, and then I will try to narrow it down to our personal lives and all. See, the thing is, I'm a kind of person with my dreams and all of that. You would have understood so far how much attention I give to the omens. What I personally feel is that nothing happens in the nature, in the universe, without a reason. And being an astrologer, our job is always to find a overlap of the energy. Now, in any of the Hindu Vedic system of the assessment, planetary assessment, the day when the transit is taking place, that plays a very important role. Now, the day when Saturn is entering into the Pisces sign, it is going to be a solar eclipse on that day. So the very first thing is that, and see, we cannot overlook this fact that Pisces, the original Kalpurush 12th house zodiac sign, has got more to do with the losses, with the grieving, expenses, exhaustion of energy, and all of that. And when it is taking place with the energy of the eclipse, and we know this thing that Pisces also has got a very strong affinity with the energy of the Ketu, like the way you mentioned over here. So we say this thing that whenever those kind of karmic retribution take place, like some major calamity happens during this 2.5 years, and something happened where nature has got its own way of doing the cleansing, doing the purification. Second thing is that many people also in the west, they also take into consideration the solar calendar, like on April 14th when sun entered the Aries sign. Even on that day, Saturn and Rahu are very tightly conjunct. So the point which I'm saying over here is that the omens on which this formal entry of Saturn is taking place in the Pisces is kind of a sensitive energy. Second way of looking at it is that in Vedic astrology we say this thing, Ucharohi and the Nicharohi, means when a planet is immediate after this, the planet will be going to the sign of its debilitation. So that is also a matter of concern. When we talk about the correlation of the Saturn and the planet Jupiter, because Saturn is going to be transiting in the sign being ruled by the Guru, by the planet Jupiter only. So the good thing with the Saturn's transit in the Pisces is that with its 10th aspect, it is going to be giving its aspect to the Sagittarius sign as well. Like the way we have been saying this thing that this year in 2025, Sagittarius is receiving the dual aspect. So
Mhm.
this could be seen as a positive sign, but in many ways, Saturn also hold this capacity to block. Like, like where Saturn is a planet which says that, okay, I will not let any blessing or grace come to you unless and until you haven't earned it, unless and until you haven't worked for it, unless and until you haven't proven your mettle. So I mean to say, like the way it has been mentioned in our scriptures is that there are like two zodiac signs being ruled by the planet Jupiter. One is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is like see a guru who has got scriptures, those kind of
Yeah.
Amrapatri in his hand, who's there to teach and preach. When we talk about, many people also connect like Pisces with, like a staff which many like sadhus. Oh my God, Saturn imitate the crow king. Can you see the crow?
Yes.
Oh my God, I know how the crow came. Suddenly the crow came. Okay, I believe in omens a lot. So
That happened to me right before we filmed this video. I was running to go get my camera and it just went away. But I have this fence, same thing. So this
yeah,
is it.
yeah. So what happens?
Wow.
Yeah, we say this thing that it's like a guru who has got a dand, or like a staff,
Yes.
in his hand, to show his spiritual supremacy, like control and restrain over your senses. So
Yes.
yes, when we talk about this transit of the Saturn in the Pisces, again, the dates which you mentioned, like Saturn generally transit in one zodiac sign for like after like 29.5 30 years and all. It was there in 1996. Before
Mhm.
that, it was like 1937, 1907. I was also doing my research like in all of that, those dates and all.
Yeah.
In this time, I'm actually I'm little bit skeptical because of the kind of omens which are surrounding it at this time. Because again, this is not a coincidence that Saturn in a Nicharohi, immediate after this, it's a sign of the debilitation, then conjunction with Rahu, even when the beginning of the solar year, Saturn and Rahu conjunction. So that means, like the way they have been saying, there is going to be a lot of the change and upheaval which will happen. Like in terms of the, it's like limitations, restriction. And again, see, people do not understand this thing. When we were like talking about when Saturn was in a Mool Trikona sign, when Saturn was in the Aquarius. So, see, the thing is, Saturn is like a taskmaster. Wherever Saturn is there in our chart, it is just making us go through the test and trials of the life. Simply put, simply means that when Saturn is in the Aquarius, it shows us and makes us go through, it teaches us the lesson of patience in order for us to stand a chance for the highest rewards. Now, when Saturn is going to be there in the Pisces, those tests and trials generally happens in the domain of, like learning the value of the charities, of donation, of whatsoever you have been holding very dear to you, how you will cope up with that kind of thing if it has been taken away from you. Learning the value of the isolation, self introspection, deeper meaning, purpose of the life. So yes, Saturn is going to be driving people towards this. So let's say, for example, if someone who is already aligned with this mindset and this lifestyle, that person is not going to be having any issue, any problem. But yes, those people who are like living a very materialistic kind of life, and let's say, for example, Saturn is right now in a governing seat. Because I always say this thing that if Saturn is a ruling planet in your case, Saturn is currently active in the dasha and all, and whenever Saturn will make a move in the transit, it is going to have a major impact onto you. So for all those people who are like, their moon sign is Aquarius, their moon sign is like Capricorn, their janam tara, their moon nakshatra is like Pushya, Anuradha, Uttar Bhadrapada, Saturn is active in the Dasha, and they are living a very materialistic life. They are like very much, attached with things. They are very attached with things. Then there is going to be a problem. Then there's going to be a concern, because the lessons which will come, the hardship and the struggle which will come, means it's difficult to put it in words. Again, see, Rahu is going to be doing its work, because when then Rahu is going to be transiting in the Aquarius. See, I just do not want to highlight only the negative things. It's just like that. There's going to be a lot of relief as well, because whatsoever Rahu would have been creating the confusion when it was in the Pisces, once there is going to be overlap. Now Rahu is going to be in the Aquarius, it's dignified state. Saturn is going to be over there. So Saturn is a restraining energy. Why we say that Saturn in the eighth house is considered as good for a long life? Because Saturn slows down the the death. Saturn slows down the death and it gives you long life when it is there in the eighth house. So in a way, there's going to be benefit as well. But if I were to say from the global point of view, this is going to be highly, highly vulnerable time. When we talk about from our personal life perspective, so unless and until you're not very spiritually oriented, like the way we say this thing, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a term called as the sthir pragya. Sthir pragya means that you are stationed in yourself, in your present, be here right now. So it's not like that your happiness is dependent on what will happen in future. Your happiness is dependent on that only if you will be in a relationship with someone. Your happiness is dependent on only if I have a luxury car, only if I'll have a promotion, come what may. Like a living like a typical yogi, that even if something comes to you or even if something is taken away from you, that does not affect you. That does not affect you. So these are kind of people who will be or who can stand a chance to some achievements, spiritual elevation. We say this thing that all those yogis, like who stand a chance for like when I see this happening lot many times, where people who go through major transformation in their life, like you were living in west, you had a very kind of a corporate life and all, and suddenly something happened, you left everything, you traveled to east, you joined a monastic ashram and something, you got initiated into some school, and we say this thing that complete surrender. It's not like you're not desiring of something. Your life has put you in that path and you have completely surrendered to the nature, that okay, I completely surrender wherever life takes me, wherever God Almighty you takes me, I have a complete faith and surrender onto you. So yes, this is how it is going to be working out. So this is just my basic overview of Christina, of this transit.
Yeah, you're right. When you were talking about this, it made me think about something. The Kumba, there was all these people that were kind of going viral, that they were like all these different people that they interviewed. And there was this one guy, the IIT Baba, right?
Oh.
Do you know about him?
Yeah.
He is your
Yeah, that's the
classic
thing. It's like these days.
example,
uh,
right? I feel like he's like this energy that, like, if he would have stayed stuck in that job in this transit, he might be suffering. But now he's just like, yeah, I'm here at the Kumbh Mela. Okay. I'm a yogi now. Like, he's living the two worlds, right? He's doing both things. And this is only possible because of the time that we're in. Because if we were in a different time, this would not have been an option for this guy. He would have been some poor unknown sadhu, right? Like, he might have had a different path, but this is a whole different thing for him because we're in this time right now. Like, I guess because I have, optimistic view, more optimistic view, I think of all of the possibilities because, yeah, we're in the Kali Yuga. Yeah, it's a dark time. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of challenge, but I think as astrologers, as people that study Jyotish, it's important for us to see all of the possibilities and us be strong in ourselves and our sadhana, so that when the influx of clients come and they're saying, you know what, I'm really suffering right now because I have this amazing job but I don't have the relationship I want. This is that energy you're talking about, right? This is this longing. And I think this is also related to Pisces longs for that connection, that soul connection. We're talking about a very deep, watery sign, a sign that kind of wants to be one with everything and everyone. And I think Saturn also has this desire. He's just got this, happens to be the Punisher. Like you're saying, he happens to have this danda that he's not afraid to use on us if we don't follow the Dharma. And I think this is something that is a quality. Some of us have to play these roles. Unfortunately, this is, how our earth works, and I think, in these transits, it's going to be a very sensitive time. We might lose a lot of things. We might lose a lot of people. We've already lost a lot of people to wars that I think people have no idea or perspective on because they're not in that society. They're not leaving those countries to come here. We have a lot of Nepalis here in California that left Nepal because of the situation there, and they became kind of political refugees here in California, and now they're dealing with a lot of the things like the fires and this. And I think this is some of the things that also come with this sensitive position of planets and Pisces. We might see more cataclysms with water and fire during this transit, because of the tattvas and how they are and how the planets are concentrated. And yeah, it's going to be this aspect of all the planets with Ketu. It's kind of a very it's a unique experience, I'll say, because we haven't seen anything like this in a long time. And I think this time will prove to be something that in the future people will see was a catalyst for a change in how society is going to be set up. Because I really do think, and why I brought up that 1996 Communications Act was because what's been going on with that one YouTuber, who I won't mention his name, because I feel like it's been a really horrible time for him. And I think this is what happens with these planetary positions. You have this amplification of everything, and you have Rahu there, and you have all of this going on, and then you say one wrong thing and like it's all over the next day, right? This has happened before on Twitter. I want to say it probably happened like 20 years ago when Twitter first started. People weren't really sure how to use social media, and I think we're still kind of figuring it out. And I think that's why we're kind of coming back to this Communications Act being enacted into a law, because we have to figure out how to have people accountable. And this is Saturn, make people accountable for their actions without over punishment, without creating fear. Because I think now what's happening with this is going to be the situation with this YouTuber is going to be a catalyst for people to be more reserved about how they speak. Think about the type of things that they're going to say in public, and realize, when you speak something into existence, other people of all ages are going to hear it. So it's not just a conversation between Nipun and I in private. This is, out there for everybody to see. So we want to kind of be more mindful of our speech. And I think this falls into those two things, Saturn and Pisces. People want to say Pisces is this very kind of spaced out energy, but a lot of people that I know with prominent Pisces, they are counselors. They are people that are spiritual leaders, and they are very, very mindful of how they speak to others. They're actually not very present on the internet, actually, because they know, maybe I don't want to have that responsibility of saying the wrong thing and hurting somebody's feelings.
So, Christina, now you want to look at briefly that how it is going to be influencing like all the rising signs. You want to share your inputs on that?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So, okay, when we start first with the Aries rising. So, okay, if I were to share my insight on this, Christina, so beyond any doubt, see, for the Aries Lagna natives, like Saturn becomes their 10th and the 11th lord. And now Saturn is going to be transiting in the 12th house of theirs. So, like the way very rightfully said by you, Christina, when I was like looking at your slides which you prepared and all. So let's say, for example, for all those Aries Lagna natives, if right now their life's aspiration, their professional endeavors are aligned with the 12th house, like for whatsoever reason, they're trying to relocate to a foreign land, they're trying to establish their career in the medical, in the health industry, they're already operating in the import and export nature of work or business. So it is going to be very easy shift for them, like in any way, because see, Saturn is a like a karam karak, like a professional like a planet which tells about the professional endeavors and all for everyone. But just because for the Aries, it actually has got a rulership over their 10th house as well, 11th house as well. So nothing could be better than that, because their actions and the result of the action, that planet which looks after these department and areas, is going there in the 12th house. Along with that, because see, 12th house has got a lot to do with the isolation as well, like when you are left with on your own. So yes, now there's going to be shift, because Rahu is going to be transiting in their 11th house. There's going to be heightened desire which is going to be getting generated, and in order to fulfill that, they might find themselves being left on their own, that okay, I have so many plans, I want to do so many things, but in order to do that, bro, I'm left on my own, I don't have anyone. So just like that, if I were to say, people who are open towards new experiences, and like it all comes down to how spiritually oriented you are, unless and until if you're not very attached to the things, like the way I mentioned this thing. And Christina, because in my case, my most of the planets are in the sign of the Saturn. I'm in the Sadasati, I'm in the Saturn Dasha. So I mean to say, I have actually done a lot of research on the Saturn and all. So I always say this thing, that in order to deal with the Saturn, they're like, worship Shiva, it will give you that meditative stance. Worship Hanuman, it protects you. And in order to maintain the relations, because Saturn is a ruthless taskmaster, no matter how much you're crying, it does not melt, it does not bend. So read about the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna teaches and preaches the true karma knowledge. You know how you
Right.
need to fulfill your duties and responsibilities, and the Aries Lagna natives during this time will be needing it, because Saturn is going to be, see what was happening in the past 2.5 years. No matter whether life has slowed down, they have to work hard, but everything was happening in the domain of the 11th house. Saturn is going to be like to the Aries natives, bro, I want to make you something. I want you to fulfill your dreams and ambition. And regarding that, see, Saturn, Jupiter has a way of helping us through blessing. Mercury has a way of working with us through new ideas, through connection. Saturn has got its own way. It delays, it makes us go through life's tests and trials and test our patience for that. But now all of that, all the tantrums and all the arsenal and weaponries of the Saturn is going to be operating in the domain of learn the lesson of the patience, of losing things, of being left on your own, being isolated, and be self-reliant. So this is how it is going to be happening. So if I were to say, to the Aries Lagna natives, there is definitely going to be a conflict, because your desires are going to be very heightened because of the Rahu's presence in the 11th house, and the 10th and the 11th Lord in the 12th. Bro, you'll be left on your own. So try to be self reliant. Do not be dependent on many people or many things. Do a lot of charities. Help people unconditionally. Look for new horizon. And also, there is a slight possibility, because the way things are going to be happening, it is going to be that typical time when a lot many people go through transition in their life, from job to business, business to job, migrating from one country to another country. So, or this could be you are single, now you got married, so new responsibilities, so like lot many things, so major shift. Again, see, Christina, everything comes down to that, how much is the overlap there. So with this, let's say for example, you are in the age group of Rahu and Ketu inversion. I'm not saying Rahu Ketu return, inversion, like
Yeah.
you're like which happens like you're 45 years of age, or so these are the times, sensitive times. Or you're 48, yeah, 45 to 48 is very sensitive. Rahu Ketu inversion happen, Ketu matures at 48. So again, it all comes down to individual. My one point tip or remedy for the Aries Lagna friends is that, just guys, try to be self-reliant and work on your own self. Learn the value of self-introspection. Sometimes I get consultation people, oh, I'm not able to maintain friends, oh, I feel isolated, I feel left on my own. You have to bear that, and this is how Saturn will be working with you. Yes, that's what my inputs are.
Yeah, I think that's great. Also, I with Aries energy, people that, you know, very driven. So it's hard for them to stop. Now, I remember somebody told me once, if you don't stop yourself from doing certain things, the universe will stop you. And that's kind of where Saturn comes in, because, that's why I said meditation and introspection, just like you just said, meditation and introspection are going to be great for the Aries people. And I think, you don't have to be as rigid as you have to do this meditation this way. Just try and find a time every day, if it's in the morning or in the evening, whatever your schedule allows. Just sit and think about the things that you value, that you will not want to let go of, that you feel are necessary in your life, and the things that you're willing to let go of or compromise in. You can make the next step, shift into the next part of your life, and not have this pain or suffering, because the pain and suffering comes when we don't have this realization before the events happen, when everything takes us by surprise and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to move out of the country and I didn't get this done, or my visa wasn't taken care of on time, or, I wanted to take this trip, but now I can't because I have to work extra, or something like this situation comes up. We should just be more like that Pisces energy and just flow, just take small steps. I know Aries, energies, they want to move quick, they want to get it done. It comes from a good place, but there's also the time for introspection and, focusing on your own kind of upgrade, right? And also know that you might have to give up some things in order to make that next step. There's always a sacrifice that's required. And yeah, so if you can't meditate for a long time, just sit for a couple of minutes or go outside, be in nature for a little bit, take a walk. That's a form of meditation as well. So we don't have to be so rigid in our thinking. If you can't do a stottrim, don't do it. Just listen to it while you walk. That's what I tell people. If you don't know how to pronounce any of these things, you don't desire to, it's not your religion, just listen to it or read about Saturn. Like you mentioned greatness of Saturn before. I always tell people, if you can read, a long form book, read that book. If not, just read stories about Saturn, hearing stories about Saturn. That's why I told the story about Saturn, because in that we're learning something, and we're also kind of having an understanding of what we need to work on in ourselves, perhaps, right? So yeah, what do you think about for our Taurus friends now?
And one last thing which I want to say over here is that emotional sensitivity is something, see, even if you have to be cold, sometimes, Christina, the spiritual nectar or the wisdom is that, those people, I'm sure a lot many people are not gonna like my this statement, but sometimes those people you will find even in their old age, who are living a very good health, they are independent, they are doing all the tracking and hiking, everything. These were the people who were given this title, that guy is very cold, he doesn't get affected by anyone's pain and all. So because sometimes you have to be like that. Those people who get very attached, very emotional, very impressionable, these are the guys. Because if you go by the level of the pranas, like, five level of the human body, the more you get attached and this, so your body also, you start receiving the energies from other people as well. And Saturn just want you to be little bit cold. I mean to say, because if you are a Aries Lagna, Saturn is going to be transiting in your 12th house. Saturn just wants you to do charity, but unconditionally. But if you're, oh my God, I cannot see that person's pain. Oh my God, my that friend is going to break up. That makes my heart sad. Saturn is gonna give you more health problems and all. Your prana, your energy body is going to be getting affected. So I mean to say, this is also going to be the time for developing that emotional maturity. You have to be impervious to other people's pain and all, because this is where Saturn wants you to be mature. So it's not an exaggeration. Even if the Aries Lagna natives in these 2.5 years, even if you have to turn a little bit cold to other people's pain and this thing, because Saturn wants you to become emotionally mature first, then only you can take care of anyone around you. We have to do our duties, responsibilities without making a fuss. Christina, there has been so many stories where we say that one of the king, Harishchandra, Vikramaditya, like these are the people that when that guy was in a top judiciary seat, his own son created a crime, and this judge sentenced him because it was his duty. He was called in order to deliver that justice. That happened. So like there have been so many instances. So Saturn, when transit to your 12th house in the Pisces, it means impressionability, emotional sensitivity. You have to do your job, do it as a job. Do not get emotionally entangled. Otherwise, Saturn is gonna ruin you. Saturn is gonna destroy you. I'm so sorry for
Mm.
my hard words, but this is how it is. Okay,
No, it's reality, and I
it's
think
reality. It's
we
reality.
we want to help people, and I think when we talk like this, it's because we want to give examples of the types of things that maybe other people may not talk about, right? Or things that we've observed. And I think you with Saturn, you have to be real. You have to.
Realistic. Yes, yes.
You
You have to
have to be
do your
real.
job. Yeah, yes.
Like I was telling you before we started this, I was coming up with a whole elaborate presentation. And at the last minute, it's like, nope, you're just going to make it black and white, simple, to the point. That's very Saturn. He's not going to mince words. He's going to say, you know what? You did that. You're going to jail.
Yes, yes.
Sorry.
This is how it is. This is how it is. Very true.
That's the law of the land, right? And we all learn something from it, and God forbid someone goes to jail in this transit. But I'd say the combinations are possible if you don't watch how you behave, right? But what's really interesting is we've seen a lot of times that people that go to jail, like for example, Sri Teshwar, right? What happened to him? He became this yogi, right? This is what happened. He just used that time to study. So this is that type of energy too. So, you can either avoid doing all those things and start working on yourself, like you said, or, you might end up in one of those situations.
Okay, now, Christina, moving to the Taurus rising natives. So, okay, beyond any doubt, we cannot overlook this fact that for the Aries rising in itself, Saturn sees it. Saturn might be a Rajyo Karaka for the Aries, but Aries is a sign of its debilitation. There is still some sort of enmity and dislike towards it that cannot be avoided. It means Saturn might want to give Raj Yoga to the Aries Lagna, but not with happy face. Okay, so coming back to the Taurus Lagna. So for the Taurus Lagna natives, Saturn is a very important planet for them. Beyond any doubt, we cannot overlook this fact that it is going to be entering in their 11th house, and it is going to be carrying with it the energy of their ninth house. That means whatsoever virtues, morals, learnings they have accumulated through the course of the life. When Saturn was transiting from the 10th house, that means whatever they have like done as a part of their duties, responsibilities, how much responsibilities they have shouldered. Now, just because Saturn is going to be entering in their 11th house, so to an extent, we can look at it in this way that it could be a time of rewarding, like the way we say the judgment day. In a way that, let's say, for example, if those people specifically who have been a voice of some cause of something, like they have been associated with the philanthropic humanitarian work, like a typical energy of the Pisces, which has to do with the spiritual awakening, mental health, awareness, and all these kind of things, where you are bringing a reform, purification, cleansing. And even those journalists and all who are doing a story where they are exposing all those things which are going wrong in the society and something. So if in your line of work, in your nature of work, you have been involved in these kind of activities and engagements in these fields and all, so those people can be rewarded. Okay, it's not an exaggeration to say this thing that carrying the wisdom of the ninth, the luck from the ninth and the 10th, this could be the time when a lot many Taurus Lagna natives might stand a chance for a elevation in their life. This could be a case higher purpose, higher responsibilities, and something. But just because it is the energy of the Pisces, so that might come with a cost. Like the way, for example, you might be sent away from your friends, and so you have gained something, but nature knows its way of balancing things. You gain something, so you lose something. You gain something, you lose something. So this is how it is going to be. So yes, the but eventually, from a material standpoint of view, from a material society status point of view, this is going to be the time of reckoning where they will get their due share in a way that whatever they have sacrificed. Now, this sacrifice could be for the family, this sacrifice could be the community, this sacrifice could be for the country, this sacrifice for their personal happiness, but in a way that whatever tear they have shed in the past, like 5 years, so this is going to be the time when they will be rewarded. So people talk about it that, okay, Saturn being there in the 10th house for the Taurus Lagna, they were in one of the Panch Mahapurush Yoga called as the Shash Yoga. But still, Saturn in the 10th house does not care. It's like, okay, you have to do your job. That's it. Keep on doing job, keep on doing job. But 11th house is something where there is a biasness. Okay, now I'm hard bent. I'm compelled to give you something. 11th house is all about, over here planets are compelled to give some result. So I would say that yes, and nothing would be better than that. People who actually kind of have a story of sacrifice and contribution, a lot of contribution to the society and community, that can happen. But again, nature has its own way of balancing energy. So something will be gone out which might be of your personal happiness, something which is very personal and dear to you, so that might go away from you in order to get something which you have been earning and putting a lot of efforts and work. So, if I were to summarize it, Christina, in terms of the career, in terms of a new direction, see, 11th house is also the house of, we say this thing that, for example, for the Aries Lagna, Saturn going in the 12th house, they might be left in a perplexing situation that, okay, my life has brought me to Canada, but what to do in Canada? I have no plan, I have no idea. But the 11th house is like, okay, life has brought me to Canada, but now I'm in a federal government job. Life has brought me to US. Now I'm working with the union. I have something to do. So this is how it is. So there is a difference between the 12th house and the 11th house. 11th house is like where there are like people, where there is a plan, there is a vision, there is a growth, there is a lot of the activities, social gathering happening. So yes, if I were to say for the Taurus Lagna, it is going to be a good time. But yes, there's a lot of churning and the cutting through which is going to be happening in their personal space, in their social circle. But overall, it will be a rewarding time, rewarding transit for the Taurus Lagna natives.
Right. Yeah, I think you said a lot of great things. I also have noticed Taurus have had to work really hard this last cycle, and it might feel like they're working twice as hard because of what's happening, with having Jupiter there, right? And then we have now Saturn, moving from their 11th to their 12th house. These Taurus have been maybe, through this journey of Saturn going from 10th through 11th through 12th, they had to start putting in work, or maybe they had to change jobs, or maybe they had to change companies and still be in the same career field. But now they're going from being maybe in a small company to a larger company, because we've seen with the 11th house, a lot of times it has to do with conventions, right? Or a lot of people that have to go to these like business conventions or business meetings where there's like hundreds of employees. And the Taurus, maybe they went from being like just everybody in the crowd to being that one because they've been working a lot, getting noticed now by their superiors, maybe getting promoted. This is something that I would think maybe would be coming for the Taurus people, because they've had to sacrifice so much of maybe their personal life, because they knew this was the time to work really hard, put in the effort. And now they're taking those skills that they gained from this transit through 10th, 11th, and now in the 12th house, they're gaining those skills, and now they have to use their imagination to put that all into work, make that happen in their reality. Like you say, you took this leap to move to a different country, and now, or what do I do? Well, now you start thinking of all the possibilities. This is a problem with Pisces. There's so many possibilities that you don't know what to do with it, right? And this is where I think using some of those qualities that Tauruses are really good at, which is hard work, effort. They want to provide for their family. They're always thinking about, what's in their bank account, does the family have enough food? Can I provide enough food for my family? These are the ways that they think. And this is kind of like their hard wiring, right? You see these Tauruses, they're very hardwired in this, like, no, I'm a provider. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to live my life. So I think this transit will be rewarding them, but maybe not as much as they want.
So yes, Christina. So you want to move to the Gemini now for the Gemini rising?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So for the Gemini rising friends of mine, so in their case, Saturn has got a rulership over their eighth house and the ninth house. The Moon Trikona sign falls in their ninth house, and in the transit now, Saturn is going to be transiting in their tenth house. So, Christina, if I were to say beyond any doubt, the transit of the Saturn in the 10th house is always a time of the additional accountability, responsibilities, and pressure. That is the first thing. Second thing is that Saturn is going to be creating pressure, but in which capacity, in which fashion it is going to be conducting, operating. It is all dependent on that in which zodiac sign it is transiting. So Pisces has got more to do with the challenges. This could be health concern, karmic lesson, spiritual growth, financial stability, instability, emotional sensitivity. So, see, Gemini Lagna natives have to be very mindful in this 2.5 years. See, the thing is, I tell you what, Christina, sometimes what happens is that people are in a line of work where they are not happy, they are not very contented. And sometimes, life is giving you a lesson. See, Christina, I'll be very honest with you. I do not know why I'm sharing this thing. Even in India, when I was in the jobs, there have been those instances where I actually have a fight and I've been like, like abused and all. And that's how I left the job. It's like, okay, I'm leaving this and that. My 10th Lord is in the eighth house. My ascendant Lord is in the eighth house. So, and so that's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, I'm not saying that with the Gemini Lagna, it's going to happen like that. I mean to say that what you are working for, where you are, you have to have reasons that, okay, why I am here. Are you grateful? Are you adding some value? Or you're like, sometimes, when I see in the transit and all, people carrying their bag, they don't see like that passionate, that what they're going to work for. And you see people like, they say that, okay, people like Elon Musk, their secretary, he does not have a schedule, right, from 1 to 3 or 3 to 5. He has schedule for every 10 minutes. Okay, 1 to 110. 110 to 120, 120 to 130. So these are those people. So I mean to say, this is going to be a very high time for the Gemini Lagna natives to do this self-introspection that, bro, what I am doing, is it like I believe in it? Am I passionate about it? Is it actually creating a difference in my life and through my work? Am I creating a difference in the society, in the community? So all these things are very much important. See, the good thing for the Gemini Lagna native is that it is a kind of a trend. I have done, I guess, 2 or 3 charts. I remember they are fresh in my mind. That these are those people who are my regular client, and they have asked this thing. One lady, she took a maternity leave, and now she wants to enroll into a new career. And there was another person with the same Gemini Lagna. So I mean to say, Rahu in the ninth house is a very good sign to enroll for a new course, online certification, and Saturn in the 10th house might give you a chance for migrating to a new place. But what matters is that, are you at the right place? You have to ask yourself, because beyond any doubt, pressure is going to increase. Pressure will be there. There is going to be pressure. Again, for me, you make me like work 18 hours on YouTube on some astrology topic. I don't feel it like I'm actually doing a job. I don't even get this feeling that I do something every single day. I love planets. I love talking about astrology. I love, social media. I love cameras. I don't even feel like I do any job. I feel like it's like I'm just like this. So that's what I'm saying. So for the Gemini Lagna natives, it is going to be a high time for self introspection. Again, I'm very biased. Why? Because in the omen in which Saturn is entering in the Pisces, it is whatever way it is happening, the solar eclipse on the day of the transit of Saturn in a dreaded sign, a sign of disaster, losses, expenses, health problems, secret enemies. It's not a good energy. So I mean to say, for the Gemini Lagna natives, my or Gemini Lagna friends, my recommendation to them is that please, guys, life is very small. Those 50, 60 years of the life just passes like this. And even the pure time which we actually spend in our career is like, if you do the whole mathematics, it's like hardly 40, 50 years. So do not be at a place where you're not very grateful, you do not find yourself contributing value. But the good thing is that if you're contemplating some transition, like for example, okay, let me enroll for this course from business to job, job to business, or sometimes what happens is that life in itself is giving you lessons, life in itself is giving you signs that suddenly you have been asked and put in a different role. Suddenly something happened where your in-laws are asking you that, hey, why don't you join our family business? So these might be the signs. But yes, this is going to be the time. I will not say this thing that people cannot rise, they cannot have promotion. Saturn is all about responsibilities. If you work by yourself and suddenly you have an answerability of 10 employees under you, so that means responsibility will only increase when you will be promoted, when you are growing in the business. So that all can happen. But had it been Saturn in the Libra in the 10th, had it been Saturn in the Capricorn in the 10th, it's a different thing. Saturn in the Pisces, it's an altogether different energy. And combining and blending omens, my recommendation to the Gemini Lagna native is that it's going to be the time when they have to ask themselves, do they have any conviction? Are they passionate about what they are doing or not? Some people can also be promoted during this time, but be mindful, guys. Whatever you will accept as a new role, as a promotion or something, it will come with its own set of challenges, uh, responsibilities, pressure, and all. So embrace only when you are very confident about it. Look at all the terms and conditions, all of this. And my recommendation to the Gemini Lagna native for this as well is that do not be too trusting, because Rahu in the ninth house will be playing with your luck. You know what? Rahu in the ninth house is not an energy. Rahu is like a friend. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm giving the example of USA and Ukraine. Yeah, keep fighting, keep fighting. We'll give you weapons. We'll give you weapons. Keep fighting, keep fighting. Okay. Now, no, 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 no. We have to take your rare minerals. Oh, no, 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 no. We cannot support you anymore. I mean to say. So what I'm trying to say in this context is that you have to be careful. Rahu is there in the ninth house. If you will be blindly trusting people, you will sign any documents anywhere, and then something happened, and you will be the scapegoat. So this could be a case that you might be made a scapegoat at the work as well. So for the Gemini Lingna natives, it is going to be lot of the questioning, what they are doing, why they are doing, if something new happens, why it is happening, what is my place in it, how much I will extract out of it. So all of that is very, very important. So yes, I guess Gemini Lagna native would have already started hating me, so I will stop here. Now you
No,
can.
I think this is good. You're doing the thing that the Gemini is good at, which is by nature. When you think about Gemini, its ruler is Mercury. So use that Buddha, use that intelligence to assess all situations right now. That's a good way to put it. I think, for them, yeah, I do think when you see this Pisces, Saturn and Pisces for them in their 10th house, they definitely need to be in alignment with what they're doing with their life, because Saturn will take it away. Like you said, he's going to take it away. It's going to be painful. You might lose a job you just started because you didn't consider factors. You just thought, well, this is way more money. Like, this is more than I've ever made. This is what I want, without thinking about the possibility that maybe it's just an entry level position and you could totally lose out on that experience. That's where luck comes in as well. And, like you're mentioning about Rahu, these type of tricky situations, I think a lot of times, Geminis just get like really enveloped in the energy of the people around them, of being around a lot of people, of conversations, and they trust people, right away, and they trust what they see a lot without too much thought. So I think that's another thing Geminis need to do, is go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. When you, like you said, read a contract, read everything. When you watch something, think about the perspective of the person that is making this for you to watch, because maybe there is always going to be another side to it. So Geminis just assess everything, look at everything, contemplate, like you said, think about everything in your life, where you're at in your life. And I do think a lot of them have changed careers from what I've seen around me. This is a kind of end of a cycle where they shifted from a totally different career. Like maybe I knew one person that they were a writer, and they were writing for a long time, and then they just decided, no, I want to be a psychologist, and they went for it, and it's been a painful couple of years, but now they're slowly starting to see the results, and they're in their mind, they're thinking like, why did I do this again? You need to come to that kind of place right now. Why am I doing this? Why did I switch jobs? Oh, I did it because I actually want to help people with my work instead of just writing copy or writing the news out. I want to actually help people get better, right?
Okay, now, Christina, moving to our dear Cancer Lagna friends. I do not know why Cancer people don't like me. Why? Because I see, the thing is, I love them because they're emotional, they are very nurturing. But when I say that in a very casual way, they take it as an offense. What's wrong if we are so loving, we are so emotional? So okay, so now talking about the Cancer Lagna natives. So in
They're
their
proving your point though. When you say that, they're proving your point. They're
Okay. I see,
like,
the thing is, I tell
yes.
you, I might be very strongly under the influence of Saturn, and I have learned the lesson of being sthir pragya or cold. You have to become cold, otherwise, I live on my own, living in a foreign country, doing my job. So Saturn is actually working with me. Otherwise, if you're too emotional, impressionable, gullible, Saturn time will break you. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
endure and go through Saturn if you're Saturn will make you become cold. Okay, now talking about the Cancer Lagna natives. So,
Yeah.
okay, for the Cancer Lagna, see, I would say, um, in a way, energies in the past have been not that bad for them, because we say this thing that Saturn in the eighth house is a significator of long life. I have seen the charts of lot many of the Cancer Lagna I have met in the past couple of times, not as a client, but more of as people who have enrolled into full time becoming a psychic, a medium, a Reiki healer, or becoming an astrologer. Oh my God, when I was in Bharati Vidya Bhavan in India as well, the many people I used to come in contact with, and I'm seeing their charts. What is arising? Cancer, cancer, cancer. So
Oh,
many people
wow.
enrolled into in this 2024, 2023. Lot many people actually professionally. It's not like as an amateur or just as a passion, as a hobby. Lot many people gotten into full time professionally in this field. Now, I always say this thing that Rahu in the ninth house, sometimes, at times, it can suddenly create opportunities for you. This could be in foreign land, this could be in social media. So, in a way, the energy was not that out of proportion. But now, what is happening is that Saturn is going to be coming to their ninth house. Now, Saturn is a very restraining kind of force. In the house of the luck, Saturn is going to be, now you will not find things with ease and grace. You have to earn and make your way through it. Along with that, because Saturn is there in the Pisces, and I always say this thing, what drives us in our life is our faith, our belief system, the teachings, the knowledge, the wisdom which we have. And when Saturn will start working on it, so we say this thing that, when people get, like anyone, you have strong faith or emotional support, your support system, and suddenly something happened, and either you got to know something about that person, or people who have been a matter of emotional support to you, guidance to you, they have been taken away from you, you have migrated away from them. So these kind of situation, these kind of circumstances, these Cancer people might have to go through, where the jolt or the hit will come in their belief system, in their emotional support system. That is the first thing where I'm seeing them slightly little bit vulnerable. Second thing is that, yes, when we talk about, what do you call that, like people who want to do something where, like, travels are involved, or learning about, like, all these kind of body, mind, spirit, and all these kind of, chakras, meditation, spirituality, or learning about all these kind of things with sincerity and all, that could happen. People who have been see, it has been debated. Some people say that the visa immigration documentation for the visa, green card, and all, seventh house. Some people say ninth house. So, but yes, even for migration, where we say this thing that suddenly change of environment, change of scenario. So suddenly it changed. All of that changed. So yes, all of that can happen. But the thing is, if I were to say in the past 2.5 years, no matter, people have been calling it that okay, Saturn in the eighth house is not that strengthened, but personally and speaking, frankly speaking, I've seen it has actually given occult. It has actually professionally brought occult in the lives of many Cancer Lagna natives. So, but now Saturn is going to be, because Saturn, we say this thing that, it's like people who have Saturn in the eighth house, transiting from the eighth house, we even say them, okay, start doing astrology, learning astrology. It will act as a remedy for you. Saturn in the eighth house, astrology actually work as a remedy, and that only gave lot many people astrology as a profession as well. But now, just because Saturn is going to be transiting in the ninth house, and it is going to be there in the Pisces, so that means yes, your emotional support system, whatever, because we say this thing that sometimes people are not very realistic. Someone actually scammed you, usurped some money from you. I knew this girl. So she was scammed through cryptocurrency scam. And even after like being scammed, she knew this thing. But deep inside, no, I know he will return the money someday. Like, man, please be realistic, man. Please be realistic. Money is gone now. Move on. So I mean to say, yes. So the jolt is going to come over here. Saturn is not a planet which talk about religion. Saturn does not want you to go to an idol made of stone in the temple and bang your head over there. Saturn says, no, see the divinity within you. Understand, learn the Hanuman consciousness, Krishna consciousness within you. Learn about your body, mind, soul, align it. So I mean to say, yes, it is going to be the time when through diligent hard work, not many Cancer Lagna natives will get the true nectar of spirituality. Through some practical experiences, that jolt will come in their belief system for sure. It is bound to happen. It is bound to happen, and which will put them in a path of clarity, finding answer, introspection. So yes, this is how it is going to be happening. And if in any case, any visa, immigration, people who are students of philosophy, people who are student of like theology, religion, culture, nursing student, medical health student, so anything of these nature of work, those people can get benefited.
That was a great analysis. I think that's pretty on point for Cancer. I know a couple of Cancer people that have actually they've been suffering a lot with this transit of these past couple of years, and I think almost all of them had to relocate during this time of this last transit. So I think a lot of it is now acclimating to this new place that they're in. They may be in a foreign place. They may be coming back to a place that they haven't been to in a long time. And now they're trying to kind of reframe everything and make it fit with their life. And I think, like you said, going to church, going to, temples and all of that, that may be blocked at this time, actually. Maybe they won't get to see their guru. If they have a guru or a teacher or a mentor, they might be actually separated from that person and have to apply all of their teachings themselves, figure out how to use the stuff they gained from that eighth house, and now make it part of their own life, right? Like maybe creating their own sadhana. Maybe somebody's getting into a different religion, right? Because when we think about Rahu, Rahu makes you get into foreign things, right? Move into a foreign place. You may be that one, Hindu guy in a town of all Canadians. It may just be like that. You may be the only person from Los Angeles that moves to, India in a small town. So that may happen. That may be part of what Cancers are dealing with. But I think their power of the Cancer native is with their mind, with their intuition, with their abilities. So the more they're in touch with their abilities, the more that they kind of desensitize themselves, kind of bring a little bit more of that Saturn energy to themselves. Don't let everything affect you. Everything is not going to end if you don't, get this one thing, right? Or if you feel like somebody said something mean to you and you're just holding on to it all week long, it's not going to help you. It's really actually going to take down your luck. I think I'm a big believer in what you think you manifest as a reality. I know you talk about this all the time, and I think it's real. It is so real. You're only as lucky as you think you are. You can do all the remedies, you can try all the things, carrying the lucky rabbit's foot, all this and that. But if you don't feel it here and in your heart, it's not going to be possible for you. So really just, I'd say, hone your intuition at this time and really get strong in yourselves. If you're feeling like the turmoil of the past couple of years for you as a Cancer native is at an all-time high, how do you bring that down? You got to build that thick skin, right? You got to stiffen up. You got to, what do they say? Keep a stiff upper lip, right? That saying, you just have to be like more Saturnian, and that's okay. Do it to protect yourself. Just know how to use that, right? Know how to kind of activate that in your life to protect yourself.
And Christian also, because for the Cancer Lagna natives, because Saturn is a ruler of their seventh lord as well, right? So seventh lord was rooted in their eighth house. So I would say this thing, that this would have been not only a good time for them in order to gain that mastery in the secret occult knowledge, have that deeper level of understanding in their relationship and all. So I would say this thing, that whatever they have built with their partner in terms of their relationship, in their joint resources, now it's going to be the time to diversify. Now it's going to be the time of looking for the high and chasing those higher goals. So this could be case, we say this thing, that okay, when people get married, it like the initial 1-2 years is like a honeymoon period where you're like bonding with each other. Now okay, now we have to plan our life, invest for our growth, what lies ahead. So now it's going to be like that. So yes, their partnership and their partner and their union with their partner and all, that will also play a significant role. So my recommendation to the Cancer Lagna native is that keep your marriage or your relationship intact, because you cannot deal with the storm on your own. You need someone to be with you, to be holding hands, and jointly you can deal with any of the stormy situation, life lessons which will be coming to you. Overall, it is going to be the time of upliftment. That yes, but yes, that upliftment will only happen after breaking all those kind of taboos and all those kind of things which they have kind of created in their mind, that okay, the mentors and the teachers, whatever they have been taught so far, there's going to be deeper spiritual philosophical understanding of it which will dawn upon them. So yes, it's going to be good time for the Cancer Lagna natives. Now talking about for the Leo Lagna natives. So see, beyond any doubt, although both Cancer and Leo are like inimical to the Saturn, but for the Leo as well, for especially for the Leo, Saturn has very high bar of making them go through all the grilling experience for them to shine to their best potential. We cannot even overlook that Saturn in a way, like when it has got a rulership over the seventh house. In the original Kalpurush Kundli, seventh house is Libra. Saturn gains very power over there. So now Saturn carrying the energy of their sixth house and the seventh house, it is going to be transiting in their eighth house. So one thing is for sure, that we generally say this thing, that see, Saturn in the Pisces has got everything to do with the cleansing, purification, and all those kind of spiritual awakening, karmic event, poetic justice, and all of that. When we say that any of those kind of things, like this could be psychological turmoil, any of those kind of problems, so during this time there's a high possibility Leo Lagna native will find a spiritual answer to that. Like for example, see, I will be very honest with you, Christina's, like in my dark days, I have dealt with depression, I have dealt with OCD, ADHD, all those kind of issues and problems. I have dealt with that, suicidal thoughts and all of that. But it's just like that, for me spirituality actually came as an answer, that okay, why we say this thing, right? If the why is clear to you, then how becomes clear. So only if I know that, okay, why it was happening in my mind, why it's happening like that. So eighth house carries all the toxicity, all the kind of, psychological backlog, all those kind of, pent up emotions, unhealthy emotions, all of that is in the eighth house. Now Saturn is going there. It is going there in the natural purification zodiac sign of the Pisces. So I mean to say, there's a high possibility that whatever has been pulling them down or stopping them or restricting them, they will find a spiritual answer to that. So this could be a case that suddenly there is a guru which will enter in their life, and someone very highly spiritual person who will enter in their life, and that person will give them the spiritual answer, a way to deal with all these kind of problems which generally comes from the eighth house. Christina, just because in my dasha cycle only my eighth house is very activated. So far in my whole life, I have only talked about, sorry, I have only heard those gurus and those people who have talked about the power of the God, the power of the divinity within us. But okay, I cannot name that guy right now whom I am following these days. But he is the first one who actually started talking about leaving things in the name of the God. Okay, I know God is there, but how it can help me solve my problems in the life, right? So we know this thing that when we are sleeping, it's like, the unconscious is already taking over. We do not breathe. It's like it's happening. Had it been in my control when I sleep, who will take the breathing? So breathing is happening automatic, heart is beating automatic, so many things which are in the auto mode. So there is a part of the divinity which is taking control of it. So far in my life, all those people I have read, I have heard, they only have talked about God is there, God is powerful, God is omniscient. But this guy I recently came in contact with, he's been teaching what? Leave your problems to the God. There is a part of the he will take care of it. If it can handle and manage multiple things, if it is responsible for making earth in its round in its axis, so it can handle your problems as well. It is nothing. So I mean to say, this is what is going to be happening for the Leo Lagna, that whatever negativity, blockages, restriction they have been dealing with, battling with, this could be drug issue, this could be any of the depression, any of the problems, they will find a spiritual churning. They will find a spiritual answer to cleanse it, purify it. That's the one thing. Second thing is, there is no denying to this thing that there is a combination of the things. Like for the Aries Lagna, Saturn in the Scorpio energy in the eighth house can make you big tantric. Same is the way Pisces is the 12th house energy. Saturn, Pisces in the eighth house. Oh my God, you can be very good in anything to do with the tantric practices, all those kind of spells, witchcraft,
Yeah.
spells, and all those magical kind of things and activities. Saturn, Pisces, eighth house can actually, help you succeed over there. There is going to be a problem when it comes down to the property or ancestral property related issue, because Saturn in the Pisces is an energy of sacrifice, giving away. Saturn is not a good planet for them. Saturn has got a rulership over their sixth house as well. There might be severe critical issue when it comes down to the ancestral property related issue. So my recommendation to the Leo Lagna native is that, guys, please get a advice from a good astrologer. I'm not promoting myself. I still see myself as a student, but get a good advice from a good astrologer if you'll be trying to construct a house in this tenure. When Saturn is transiting from your eighth house, so we say that, okay, when you construct a house, Saturn in your chart gets activated. So if Saturn is ill placed in your chart, you and in the transit, it is also in a difficult alignment, so it can create problems. So, and the where it will create problem in our livelihood, in your relationship, and all of that in your business. So I mean to say, yes, the only way I'm looking at this time to be difficult, that if they are planning to do any construction of the house or something, any of the ancestral property related issue, anything to do with the court cases and the lawsuit and all, it is going to be a problematic time. I want to be very honest, very blunt. So it is going to be problematic time. So much better if they can look for the diplomatic solution rather than going head on in any of the lawsuit related problem, lawsuit related issue. When it comes down to in the matters of their marriage and the relationship or the business. So see, the thing is, those people who are operating in the domain of the eighth house, like something to do with the, like investigation, something to do with the research, or something to do with the insurance, immigration, import export nature of work. If you're purely operating like, you're working in anything to any of your interest, involves oil, rare minerals, and all those kind of things, those people can slightly get benefited because Saturn and that business is coming into picture, and the 12th house energy. You are doing the import export nature of work; those can still get benefited. Only in the matters of the construction or the ancestral property or the lawsuit, they have to be careful. So
Mhm.
when it comes down to their relationship, so the thing is, in their case, see, Rahu is going to be transiting in their seventh house, and Saturn, the seventh lord, is going there in the eighth house. So they just have to be, careful while making the choices. Imagine, you met someone, and without, knowing about the background of that person, you immediately, the relationship already started, on the next level. It might be later on a concern of regret because, Rahu is like a masquerading kind of energy. Ketu is already there in your first house. It's like, a chicken without a head, and Rahu there in the seventh house, it is going to, kind of increase, stimulate the energy, the desires, and everything. And the seventh
Mhm.
lord is in the eighth house, means wrong choices, difficult choices. So yes, these are it's a joint mix kind of the results which I can say. But yes, just don't be too eager. Rahu in the seventh house will bring a relationship in your life, which might be very exotic. This could be someone very young to you, which might be very different from you, very colorful, something which is very hypnotic. You cannot just control yourself. But again, because this whole alignment, so just just take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take your
Yeah,
time.
that's those are some good points. And I think when you're dealing with the Leo Lagna natives, they always come from a heart place.
Yes.
And I think that's their motivation. But when you put Rahu in this mixture there in the seventh house, I think the best way to really work with that energy is if you're working with people from foreign countries, like you said, exotic people, your business contacts are all from all over the place. Like, let's say you move to a foreign country and, you do this type of work that is, commerce or trade, and all your contacts are from, like Japan, and you're marketing a product to all of these foreign markets. This is a great energy for that Rahu, right? But you just have to be cautious and make sure that the people that you're doing business with are not going to be shady. That's part of that underworld kind of energy of Rahu, right? And then when we talk about, the eighth house, it's been described as a black hole by some people. It's been described as this unknown dark place. But what we know about the eighth house, personally, I love the eighth house, and I think you're starting to love the eighth house and understand. At first it can be that scary place where your mind is really feeling like it's getting crushed, right? The moon doesn't do well in the eighth house. So when you're thinking about a transit, that's a very eighth house heavy transit, and you think about the energies of Pisces, what I think about is like, transcendental meditation. This is what I think would be great for these people, for these Leo Lagna natives, because it's a form of meditation that is very immersive. It can take you to that place of the Pisces energy that can actually be very transformative. And it doesn't really require a lot of, you know, you don't need to, you just want to have that desire to change or have that desire to explore that part of yourself. And I think not fearing the unknown can be really good for your own mental sanity, and also just thinking about how you're going to apply this energy, because yeah, it's a very it's sensitive because it's the eighth house, because it walks that fine line between you feel like nobody's with you, you're all alone. But really, we have to get to that point. This is Saturn. He's telling you, you're going to have to be alone. You're going to have to get used to being alone. And right when you get used to being alone, someone's going to come into your life, the right person. And I think that's kind of like maybe what these, Leos have to deal with. They're going to be dealing with these type of scenarios where they're going to start getting a lot of, kind of situations that they're going to be put in with a lot of people. So they're going to have to use their discretion, use their own intuition to get themselves into a situation that is not going to be something they regret later, like you said.
Moving to our friends Virgo. Um, Saturn has got a rulership over their fifth house and the sixth house, and Saturn is going to be coming to their seventh house. See, again, there are like a couple of things which are somehow getting perfectly aligned for the Virgo natives. The very first thing is that Saturn sees Virgo as its a good friend. And see, we cannot overlook this fact that Virgo has got natural tendency of being serviceful, being disciplined, being very organized, meticulous, like all those qualities which Saturn loves. Like if I were to say out of all the 12 houses, the pure qualities of the Saturn generally gets the justice because of the sixth house or the Virgo vibration. So that is the first point in favor. Second thing is that Saturn, like in terms of the Kal Purush Kundli, seventh house also has got the affinity with the Libra energy, where Saturn attains exaltation. So Saturn is going to be transiting in the seventh house. So that means there is a lot of the clarity, lot of the answers which will come to them. Now, see, the only concern which over here in this transit is that that the zodiac sign. Where Saturn is going to be transiting in the Pisces. So what I personally feel is that yes, there is a lot of the like cleansing, lot of the clarity which will come to the Virgo Lagna natives in the matters of the seventh house. In a way, see, we say this thing that Saturn in the seventh house, the whole energy of the seventh house is to bind things together, which actually bring people together. But just because the Pisces will also do honor to its own traits, so I would say that it is going to be the time for the Virgo Lagna natives that whether it's in their business, whether it's in their personal relationship, whatever there are like the flaws or whatever they are like kind of the void, the vacuum or the void space, which is not helping them bloom to their full potential, Saturn is going to be operating in all these kind of areas. Second thing is that, let's say, for example, if their positioning in the society is of like someone who is being perceived as very philanthropic, as very humanitarian, in India and all, like I've seen that growing up. There are like those people in the community who everyone goes to for finding the solution. They're like the local shaman, local healers, local medicine men and all, and they're like all the time healing and giving solution to people of their problems and all. So these people actually can get benefited because of the energy of the fifth and the sixth lord coming there in their seventh house. So these are the people who can actually get benefited. Along with that, let's say for example, if you're already a student or you are a creative person, you are an entrepreneur, like you have been working on any of the big dream creative project of yourself, and during this time only you're planning to release it, like you are scheduling the release of any of your artistic creative work, or you are of that age where you have completed your graduation, your post graduation, now you're out there on a job market to establish yourself in the job market. So I would say that I have only good things to say. Like even if I were to say, in certain cases, because from the past 2.5 years, Saturn has been strengthened in their sixth house. Sixth house is generally the house which over where the kind of visibility which the first house gives us, 10th house gives us, 11th house gives us, seventh house gives us, sixth house does not give us. So I would say that you might have been in the back doing the job, working on the details, working on the nitty gritty. Now this is the time for you to claim your share. Where people suddenly come to the emergence, they get recognized. Because the irony for the Virgo Lagna native is that because Ketu was also restraining them. Ketu was there in their first house from the past like 1.5 years. Rahu was there in their seventh house, creating misunderstanding and all of that. So if I were to say, now things are getting perfectly aligned for the Virgo Lagna natives, because Rahu in the sixth house is considered as very strong. Ketu in the 12th house is considered as very strong. What do you call that? Removal of Ketu from the first house will be a big unloading of a heavy load on their head. Jupiter will also move in their 10th house, and immediate after the 10th, Jupiter is like in a fast-paced motion. It's like in a bullet train. It's in a rush to move from the 10th to the 11th. So I would say that yes, vibration is getting aligned in a perfect way All what matters is that, the kind of ethics, integrity, honesty with which they have been in their business, in their relationship. So let's say, for example, if you are a kind of person who has been always concerned, caring in the matters of the relationship and all, so during this time, you're already courting, dating someone, suddenly you now planning to get married, or in the business as well, you have been doing things freelance. Okay, let me set up an office, let me hire people, let me register this company. So a strong footing in the matters of this seventh house seems to be coming in their way. But again, see, I'll be very honest with you. It's the energy of the Pisces. So if you have been not very loyal in the matters of the relationship, you have not shown the complete honesty, integrity in your work ethics and all. So those people can also get into problem. So it's the energy of the Pisces as well. But overall, if I were to say, because I will be very soon, immediate after this, I'll be making a video on the countries. I already made a video on the USA and the China. The next is Russia. I've already started working on that only. So I mean to say, even in the countries as well, like all those countries who have got a Virgo Lagna. For example, Russia has got a Virgo rising as per the mundane and all. So it's going to be good time. It gives you strong footing. Saturn in the seventh house gives you that, okay, it announces its arrival, that, okay, hey, I'm here. This is what my footing, this is what my ground, this is what my expertise in this. You cannot challenge me on this. I have a strong footing. Saturn in the seventh house is generally seen as that Saturn is stable. Saturn has got a strong footing because in our chart, it's the seventh house only. If it is balanced, our life is stable and balanced. Otherwise, it can be lopsided. It can be lopsided. So, seventh house Saturn give you a strong footing in your life. So yes, if I were to say, I'm not seeing much of the tension, rather win in any of the lawsuit related matters. For the artist and creative people, it's going to be a time when if you're releasing any work, you will get good response. For the students as well, some of the romance and the love interest can also convert into marriage as well. And whatever has been coming in the way during this time, see, the thing is, Saturn in the Pisces in the seventh house also, it's like if there have been those kind of concerns where your partner has been not very much accessible to your emotional needs. So during this time, you will also find that, depth, that, like in your deep down, whatever you are feeling, your partner is accessible to you, connecting to you on a very deeper way. So yes, for the Virgo Lagna, it is somehow the whole alignment, Jupiter from the 10th and the 11th, Ketu now going to the 12th, Saturn being there in the 7th house. Like I would say that Virgo Lagna natives are in a perfect synchronicity of the all planets. That's all what I can say.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think they're going to feel like a lot of the pressure's been released. I had some Virgo clients that told me it was probably, Cancer and Virgo, from what I've heard, have had the worst time in these past couple of years. Having K2 on the ascendant, especially if you don't know what it is that's going on with you, that's when I think most people suffer. They don't realize that this energy on their ascendant is a very karmic energy. K2 on the ascendant is not an easy energy if you don't know what that's about. If you've never lived through a K2 dasha, you have no idea. Even the K2 Antar dasha, this period can be really rough for some people if you don't use that energy correctly. And I think, when we don't know what's going on, that's different. But when we do know what's going on and we're not, in alignment with those energies and we're not working with those energies properly, that's when the suffering comes. So I think that, Virgos have been working, really hard, having Saturn in this sixth house going into the seventh house now. It's going to kind of give them a break from that, I think, where they can kind of slow down a little bit when it comes to assessing their business priorities, assessing their relationship priorities, and kind of even be able, I would say, even be able to savor some of those interactions that they have with other people and other individuals with Saturn being there, especially in Pisces, like you said, that deep emotional connection that they've been wanting. That's going to make itself available to them now. I think all the planets kind of moving out of those vulnerable spots for them. And, Jupiter, the most benefic planet, kind of speeding through, their 11th house,
Yes.
it's going to bring some really good results, I think, for the Virgos.
Now, Christina, moving now to the liberal natives. So
Your
yes,
favorite.
my favorite liberal natives. So yes,
Yeah.
for the liberal natives, beyond any doubt, Saturn is like a important yoke-karak planet for them, and carrying the rulership over their fourth house and the fifth house. Now, Saturn is going to be transiting in their like sixth house. So, to begin with, see, when it comes down to Christina, when it comes down to Saturn's transit to the sixth house or the 10th house, I always say this thing that I do not see it as a free pass, free pastime. Like, because Saturn is a planet of like hard work, diligent, hard work, discipline, and everything. And whenever it is like transiting from the sixth house and the 10th house, this is generally a time when suddenly the workload increases. But again, the thing is that because immediate after the 10th house, it is the 11th house. Immediate after the 6th house, it is the 7th house. These are the houses which are uh, favorable to the planet Saturn. So I mean to say that, yes, this is going to be the time when in their nature of work, in their line of work, there is going to be additional pressure which they have to deal with. Second thing is that the kind of alignment which was getting formed for the Gemini Lagna, I guess it is also forming for the Libra Lagna native as well, because Rahu is now going to be transiting from their fifth house. So I mean to say, see, Rahu is like a very resourceful planet which always wants to cut the corners. How can I be better? I'm working from a guy who's underqualified, underemployed. I've been doing these things. I can start things on my own as well. I could be freelance consultant as well. So I mean to say that for all those kind of things where people are contemplating, like, it's like any of the changes in their like skill set, acquiring a new skill, or enrolling for a new course, and based on that new certification, trying their hands to get into some other venture, to get into some other department, other role, and something, so that can materialize. But one thing is for sure, I just want to warn it to all the liberal natives that whatever you will do during this time, beyond any doubt, the paychecks and the remuneration can increase beyond any doubt, but it will come with its own set of additional answerability, responsibilities, and pressure. So there is no denying to this fact that there is going to be more answerability, more pressure, which is bound to mount up during this time of Saturn stay in their sixth house. Saturn has got a rulership over their fourth house and the fifth house. So any of the concerns where, like, people are trying to get any of the loan approved, right? Like they are planning to build a house or any housing loan or any of the education kind of loan and something, where they're like, they want to migrate to a new country. Expenses are very high for their education loan and something. So regarding that as well, Saturn is going to be helping them. Sixth house is also the house of the, like we say, all sort of conflicts, our daily life and something. So this transit of Saturn in their sixth house will actually give them a chance to rework on their daily schedule and all. So let's say, for example, if they feel that they have not been very productive with their daily schedule, daily handling of the days and all, so this might give them like lot of introspection, that okay, how could I be more productive with my daily schedule of the things and all. So yes, Saturn's transit in the Pisces has got more to do with becoming more robust. See, you have to understand that when we talk about all the water signs, over it, like in the Cancer is on a human level. I feel empathy for you. Scorpio is more of a negative emotion and researchful and all of that. When we talk about Pisces is all, like we say, that very utopian, very how to make the world a better place, and empathy for everyone, unconditional sacrifice for people and all. So this could be a case that, if in the past you have been in those kind of situation, where you have unconditionally given favors to people, you have walked extra miles to help those people. Certain nature balances everything. You give more minus, positive will happen. More positive, negative is bound to come. Some good news happen. It's in the pipeline that some bad news will also be coming in. This is how nature works. This is how the cycle of the nature works. So I mean to say that during this time, if they have done some good philanthropic, humanitarian deeds in the past, unconditionally, they have gone extra miles to help people. So that will also be reciprocated. In this way, you can look at it. So again, Christina, if I were to summarize, Any of the housing loans, any of the education loans, it's going to be supporting time for them. If they want to be more diligent, hardworking, more productive with their daily life, it is going to be good time for them in their regular line of work. Whatever they can do in order to be of much more better value, or like for certain people, Rahu being in the fifth house make people very, very smart, very resourceful. So even if in their line of work, they are thinking about migrating from one role to another role, energies will support them. But again, I want to be very honest with you, the paychecks will increase, but any change you will contemplate during this time will come with its own set of additional burden of duties and responsibilities. Pressure is going to be high. Saturn from the sixth house, Saturn from the 10th house always increase the answerability. Suddenly the pressure increases. And it is going to be beneficial time for people who are in that perfect alignment, to stand a chance for any senior promotion or senior role, because their trine house is in a very strengthened state. Rahu in the fifth house, Jupiter will enter in their ninth house, so luck will suddenly put them in the places which is meant for them. So yes, majorly this is what I'm looking at them, and I can assure them that whatever they have done unconditionally in terms of giving favors to people in the past, it will be reciprocated. Nature will balance it. Nature will definitely balance it. So yeah, these are my some of the top of the mind, and those who are working chiefly in the domain of the sixth house. See, we cannot overlook this fact that for every ascendant, every lagna, where the if your ascendant is being ruled by a planet which has got two signs, like Cancer and Sun have, sorry, Sun and Moon only rules one sign, but for the Venus, like Venus has got a rulership over the Taurus as well. So first house is you, eighth house will always be your strength, and the sign where your ascendant lord gets exalted, that also automatically is your strength area. So for the Venus attains exaltation, their ascendant lord gets exalted in the sixth house, and it another sign ruled by it falls in the eighth house. So that means for the Libra natives, beyond any doubt, it does not come with a saying. Eighth house and sixth house is always their strength. So a Libra Lagna with closed eyes, even if that person will choose a health industry, fitness industry, law as a profession, so they will be good in that, because that is which comes natural to them as their forte. So those people who are already working in these kind of profile, work which involves arbitration, demolition, lawsuit, or where, yeah, what do you call that? There's a term called where the employees, where they have any issues, any problems, they go to that department. My God, I
Oh,
will.
HR, human
Yeah,
resources.
yeah. So all those
Yeah.
kind of departments where you do the problem solving in the nature of, you sit in that designation where people are fighting, like people like me who are getting into problem, and then they go to that department. So this is what so those people will get benefited with this entry of Saturn in the sixth house. High pressure, chance of promotion, more responsibilities, more answerability. But whatever they will go through during these 2.5 hour, half years, the result of that will come when Saturn will get debilitated in its next transit, but it is still, it's not going to be that much adverse for them. But this whole combination of Rahu in the fifth, Saturn in the sixth, and Jupiter in their ninth, luck will put them in the right places for sure.
Yeah, that's a great analysis. I think when I think about what's going on with them in their sixth house, the daily routine, upgrading your daily routine. Like if you've been wanting to make a change to your daily routine, even if it's just waking up 1 hour earlier, or, maybe not going out to eat breakfast, making your breakfast at home so that you can maximize your time, get everything done, create that perfect routine for yourself. I think of Venus as well as a karaka of a lot of people that work in healthcare, people that are really good at rejuvenation, people that are really good at, taking care of others. When you have a natural power of sixth and eighth house, that means that you can utilize all of these like hidden techniques and hidden talents, and, like Reiki. Maybe you're working in a healthcare setting as a nurse, but you also are a Reiki practitioner, right? This is what I think of with this type of energy. People that have these qualities that they're trying to refine and kind of put all of this together into their daily routine.
Makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, so Christina, moving ahead now, when we talk about for the Scorpio Lagna natives, okay. When it comes down to the Scorpio, okay, Scorpio is a sign which is always in the, like the way every teacher, when she's like, scanning the students, and there is one student who's a troublemaker, and she knows about it. Okay, let me be very strict with you. When you, like the way you are walking around the airport and all, and in certain countries, when you have so many tattoos and all, so even the immigration, okay, you come side, okay, we have to, search you, scan you, in a much more detailed way. So that is what the attitude of Saturn is with the and towards the Scorpio. Because again, I'll be honest with you, Saturn is like very much keen towards, whenever it is like, see, dealing with Aries is different, because Aries is like impulsive. Saturn wants to be, diligent, hard work, slow. Cancer, they are very emotional. He needs to work with them. Leo is all in their head, their pride. So Saturn has to break that. Scorpio is difficult because Scorpio has got a lot of secrets and vulnerability, and tendency to be involved in things which might not be righters. And again, see, Saturn is, that is what we say, that suddenly the Saturn Dasha came, and a big empire being built on lies, in false thing and unscrupulous things, with tax invasion, and suddenly that empire got busted, people got imprisoned, and all that thing happened. So yes, Scorpio is an energy where Saturn gets a lot of work to do. Okay, let me now work on you. Okay, so for the Scorpions, Saturn has got a rulership over their third house and their fourth house, and it is going to be transiting in their fifth house. Like the way, for example, when I was talking about for the Virgo, in the case of the Virgo, in the seventh house, Saturn has got the original Kalpurush Kundli thing, directional strength, so many things. For the Scorpions, the fifth house transit, in the original Kalpurush Kundli, in this house, you will find the energy of the Leo. Saturn does not like Leo. Saturn does not like Scorpio. So I mean to say, yes, there is a lot of the mental pressure which they have to deal with. Like the way, for example, the slowdown will be experienced in the matters of the fifth house. So I mean to say, those who are planning a child and something, the real life signification when we talk about planning a child and all, regarding that, you have to be careful. Like the way, for example, if there are like some complication happening, what kind of yogas you have in your chart, your partner has in their chart, the muhurat becomes very important. When you start the process and everything, auspicious timings, the omens and all, that becomes very important. Second thing is that, in their case, see, fifth house and third house is very important house, because we say that all what we create, through our diligent hard work, like all those entrepreneurs and all those people who are like, self-made, there's a term called self-made, all of
Yeah.
that happens because of the support of the any combination of the third house and the fifth house. Third house is my efforts, fifth house what I will create out of it. And Saturn is going to be creating difficulties, Saturn is going to be creating a slowdown over there. So I mean to say, for the freelance and the self-employed people, guys, you have to be very practical, very diligent, do as much of the charities as much it is possible. Generally we say this thing, that any of the remedy which is connected with the fifth house, it is connected with all those, like orphanage, and this could be all those underprivileged kind of people who cannot afford their education. So if you can donate some their school books, their school bags, or any of those orphanage, please, donation and charity during this time will become very very important for them. Otherwise, I don't have any inhibition to say this thing, there's going to be slow down in their efforts. There's going to be a lot of, like, what do you call that, lot of fingers which will be raised on them. Because see, the thing is, the whole alignment is not very good. Rahu's transit from the fourth house is also not considered as very good. So see, fourth house and fifth house, fourth house is your emotions, Rahu in the fourth house, your emotions are being perplexed and all poisoned and toxic. And the Saturn in the fifth house, blockage in your thoughts, you are not getting the right ideas in your mind, because Saturn is creating a blockage over there. You're self-doubting yourself, you are going back and forth, and a person who is not very much prepared, that reminded me of that sequence, Troy, that movie Troy, when this Hector guy, he was about to fight his for his on his brother's behalf, and his brother's like, okay, if something happens to me, please take care of my wife. If something happens, and no, bro, just you have to worry only about your sword and his sword. What are you thinking about? Only think about your sword and his sword. So I mean to say, Saturn in the fifth house, in the Pisces, Rahu in the fourth house. So yes, the Scorpions have to be very mindful regarding their goal, the goal which you have set, how much you are focused, and you are putting everything at stake just to get your things done. So because Rahu in the emotions are going to be going through a lot of turmoil back and forth, and Saturn in the Pisces in the fifth house is again the mind is going to be feeling blocked. So regarding that, they have to be careful. Any of the house construction, if they will be initiating during this time, it might goes through delays. For in even in the academics and all, there is going to be the energy of distraction, and like you might have to, like, the college which you want to enroll, the course you want to get into. So be mindful that even if it does not happen in first attempt, so be mindful of the repeated attempts and all. So yes, this is how I'm majorly looking at, especially for like charities, donation, remedies will become very important wherever Saturn goes. The test and trials happens in that area of the life, and people have to understand during this time, if you are like, you are a kind of person who take a lot of risk, you speculate a lot. So those leap of faith might not work in your favor. Second thing is that, what I wanted to say. Yes, yeah, fifth house is kind of experiencing the slowdown. So the Scorpio Lagna natives have to be very mindful, and the remedies will become very important. That's what my top of the mind idea is. Fifth house is about the poor punya. Fifth house, I was about to say, Saturn is a planet which does not only punishes us or judges us, not only from our actions, even the kind of thought which comes to our mind. Like the way we say this thing, lot many people are seen as very clean slate. A lot of people are seen as very respected because they never get a chance. Had they got the chance, they would have done all those things which they kind of publicly detest on other people. So I mean to say,
Mhm.
even whatever going in your mind, what kind of person you are deep inside, that also gets judged. So when Saturn is there from the fifth house, so yes, again guys, for the Scorpio Lagna natives, please don't hate me. I'm a very positive astrologer, positive person. But the whole objective of this video is that to give you an insight. Rahu in the fourth, Saturn in the fifth, with the whole alignment. Much better you start doing the remedies as if now only, so that when the pressure of the Saturn will start building up, then you will not feel and face the heat. And again, we cannot overlook this fact, the Tithi Pravesh, the omen in which Saturn is entering in the Pisces. In that in itself is very inauspicious. If any astrologer comes and say in any platform that it is a very auspicious transit, no. Saturn entering into the solar eclipse, the solar calendar starting on the Saturn Rahu tight conjunct, the omens in which Saturn is transiting is in itself is very scary. So that means the remedies have to be opted right from the day when it would have entered in your fifth house. Yes, Krishna.
That's great. Yes, the whole point of this conversation really is to kind of prepare people and give them like a full perspective of what is, at stake here with this, eclipse, like you said, and all of these energies and omens are so. And I think with Scorpios, they have a natural gravitation towards, even in my office here, it got dark, but they have a natural
Very
right when we're
good.
talking about Scorpio,
Yeah.
but they have a natural gravitation towards these darker things, right? And I think now is the time to kind of maybe start thinking about, like you said, doing remedies or having some kind of outlet for yourself, or maybe, if you've been wanting to talk to somebody or seek therapy, or having a steady support system for these types of energies is really important. That's what I think can really help the Scorpios, because a lot of the Scorpio energy is the tendency to get caught up in the darkness and just, plunge in and then just think, okay, well, this is just the way of life. And then that's how they end up getting into the really dark things, getting pulled into situations that maybe are not really who they are, but they just happen to be, get caught up in these situations. But I think for Scorpios, just really making sure that your place of, where you live, your home, that you have a nice, comfortable setting, that you have a good routine for yourself, that you're getting proper sleep, that you're taking care of your diet. Like all these types of things will help with the mental part of these transits.
The thing is, one last thing which I want to add, because fifth house is also the house of the mantra sadhana and the spiritual austerities. So that also tells about that, yes, if they are gonna align themselves towards the spiritual austerities, then from that perspective, this could be a saving grace for them. But yes, the caution and care in all the material thing needs to be applied. Now, when we talk about our Sagittarius Lagna natives, so for the Sagittarius natives, Saturn is going to be in a way transiting in the territory of their ascendant lord in itself. Saturn is going to be giving its aspect to their ascendant as well. The third thing is that, see, Jupiter is the kind of a planet which all of the planets respect. So, if I were to say Saturn has got a rulership over their second house and their third house, and it is going to be transiting in their fourth house. So, one thing is for sure that during this time, if let's say, for example, those people who are trying to lay foundation to something in their life, where like you have been living as a nomad in different countries, you have been repeatedly traveling. Now think about, okay, now it is the time for me to settle down. I have, what do you call that? I've taken a lot of the spiritual knowledge. Now I want to start my spiritual school. I want to start a training institution or something. So regarding that, this could be a good time for them. It is going to be supporting time for them. We say this thing that, see, Saturn is a planet of tradition, culture, and all. Our values, our tradition, our culture, and all, our roots, and all. And second house and fourth house has got a lot to do with our our roots. Is generally, our people who do something good for their family. They go back after living in foreign lands, and they build a temple. They do some renovation in their hometown for their own cousins, their family, and all. So all of that is second house and the fourth house. So I would say that in this regard, this might be a beneficial time for them, that they will get a chance, that their contribution, and they will do a lot. Like there might be the money will be spent a lot. But again, see, Christina, when I initially started astrology, I was in this mindset. I used to talk from a personalized point of view, and that is the reason not lot many people used to feel connected with my content, because it's like the way you are saying, and you are talking about, okay, buying this car is expensive or difficult. They're having those clients of mine. They have their private planes. So I mean to say, it's not like that. So I mean to say, in order to cater to people close to you, there is going to be money which will be spent as well. But the good thing is that the money which you will spend during this time, it will bring, a lot of what do you call that, feeling that, okay, I actually did something valuable. When we unconditionally do some charity, people who contribute towards building some temples, churches, and this and that, they build hospitals. People who build hospital in the name of their parents, it happens a lot in India and all. It happens a lot. People who have built hospitals in the name of their parents, their grandparents, their Ishta Devta, Kul Devta. So this could be good for that. So again, if I were to be honest, in this regard, that this transit might give you a chance to do something which will make you it will give you strong footing, it will give you strong foundation, it will make you worthy enough in the eyes of your family, in your family, kutum, parivar. It will make you good in the eyes of your family. You'll be able to shoulder and do justice to any of the family responsibilities. If it will be bestowed upon your shoulder, you'll be able to justify all those duties and responsibilities as well. Again, when Saturn transit to the fourth house, a lot is dependent on the condition of the natal moon in itself. So let's say, for example, if in the chart the natal moon is strengthened, like the natal moon has got the Paksh bal, it is close to the time of the full moon. It is conjunct with the Jupiter respecting it. It's placed in a good sign, in a good house. Then I would say that then we do not have to worry much about it. But let's say, for example, if moon is going to be afflicted in the chart, Saturn transiting from the fourth house, it is going to be bringing a lot of the churning up, where the emotional, mentally deep inside, people feel under tremendous pressure. So this could be case like that. But if I were to say, based on the whole overall alignment, because I'm not only looking at Saturn in the fourth, I'm looking at Rahu in the third. I'm looking at Jupiter in the seventh. So their ascendant lord in the seventh. So if I were to say, yes, there is going to be the domestic life or the family life might be filled with pressure. But again, this is also the time when people get into any of the political seat. Fourth house is also connected with public. People who preside over any important government position or something. Because Rahu in the third house will actually give them a chance for those kind of consideration and all. Rahu in the third house, it means the documentation, the offer letter will come to you, the proposal will come to you. So I mean to say, only if the natal moon is afflicted and the person is going through difficult dasha, this could be a time of difficulty. Because pressure is definitely gonna be building up, but important is where it is leading you. Sometimes what happens is that we keep on doing hard work, but we don't get any recognition for that. But this is going to be the time when the recognition comes, especially the family responsibilities, laying foundation to business, getting your strong footing in the life. So getting your strong footing in the life. So yes, if I were to say, Christina, I have more positive things to say about it. And I'm actually seeing the Sagittarius Lagna natives this year. They will be put forth in a strong footing. They have already had their own level of struggle. Ketu was there in their 10th house, would have gone through professional transformation. Jupiter, their ascendant lord, was there in the 6th house, not getting due recognition, financial insecurity, debts mounting up, and all. So I would say that this is going to be a good shift of the energy in their favor. So yeah, that's all what I can say.
That's great. I don't have anything to add to that. I think you nailed that one for our Sagittarius friends. I think they're going to come out of, maybe a time that they thought was pretty challenging. And now it's that hard work that's going to reveal, and make them eligible, like you said, for their goals to start manifesting.
Nice, nice. Okay, Christina. Now, moving to the Capricorn Lagna natives. So, see, for the Capricorn Lagna natives, beyond any doubt, this is going to be the transit of their ascendant lord. So, wherever the ascendant lord goes, our whole focus goes in that house, in that department. And now, because when we talk about the third house transit of the Saturn is generally considered as good. Saturn is going to be carrying the energy of its second house in itself as well. So, this is going to be the time when, let's say, for example, people have been lately feeling that, okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm not getting due return for my hard work, or I'm being underutilized in my job, in my profession, my field, and all. So not many people can venture out towards the entrepreneurial goals of theirs, like trying to establish a name for themselves, starting something. Like we generally say this thing that, if you are in that age group right now where you have just completed your studies, or you have just taken over the family business, and now you are responsible for managing business on your own. So in any of these kind of situation, generally the transit of the ascendant lord or Saturn's transit in the third house will prove out to be favorable for them. We say this thing that, see, like all these kind of big events which happen, when we say the politicians, the big actors, their success is generally comprehended and measured on the basis of that how much turn up is happening. If they are conducting a rally, how many people actually turn out over there. So we say this thing that Saturn's transit from the third house, 11th house, is kind of a crowd magnet. It actually attracts people towards you. So any of the goals, any of the plans, any of the vision you have, you will have this capacity to make people around you believe in your vision, believe in your goal, your vision, which you are showing it to them. So if I were to say, especially for the freelance, self-employed people, it is going to be a good transit. When Saturn was there in their second house, Saturn is a very restraining kind of energy. So if I were to say, it would have laid foundation to something, but there would have been a slowdown in the inflow of the money as well. So, or this could be a case that if in the past 2.5 years, if the Capricorn Lagna natives would have done and made some big investments, and because of that, you sometimes what happens is that people, they have built big houses, they have those assets and all. When you talk about, okay, how much money you have in your pocket, how much money you have in your bank, then they don't have much to say. So if they have been in this kind of situation where you have made some big investment, but the what do you call that, the petty cash or the cash in your pocket, in your bank account, has been lacking, has completely dried up. So now Saturn's transit in the third house will be a sigh of relief over there. For all the entrepreneurs and the freelance and the self-employed people, it is going to be a good transit. Saturn's transit in the Pisces, it means shedding out and getting rid of those things which have not been working out. So let's say, for example, if you have been an actor, you have been an artist, and being with one agency, being with one kind of brand or with agent is not giving you good results. So this might be a time when you have to consider changing your agent. This could be a case that one style, I always say, these days in the social media, all those people like Salt Bay and all of that, everything is same. It's just like the branding and the styling, your signature style, that generally comes from the third house. So I mean to say that Saturn going over there. So yes, it's about rethinking about your branding, rethinking about your strategy. What is working, it's fine. If it is not working, discarding it, thinking about building something new. Saturn is going there in the Pisces sign. In the third house is also the house of our younger siblings. It is also the house of our friends and all. So yes, there could be some karmic kind of balancing of the energy where we say this thing that okay, if someone has mean to you, that person might be taken out of your life, or if you did something bad or evil to someone in the past, that person might come back at you. So nature has got its own way of balancing things, and Saturn is like a what do you call that? Saturn is the one who ensures that the justice is being delivered. So this is how it is going to be happening. But if I were to say, wheresoever the ascendant lord goes, it somehow is responsible for delivering the promise of the life. The whole focus and energy of our life goes over there. So I will not be surprised if during this time only any of the Capricorn Lagna natives will lay a foundation to something. They will find their calling. They will be aligned to their life purpose. They will be able to get the support of people around them to share their vision for their goal. So this is how, if I were to say for the Capricorn Lagna, this is all what I have to say. How about you,
Excellent.
Christina?
Excellent. I have nothing to add to that one either. I think you're nailing. You got it.
Okay, I hope I'm not taking much time, so we will
No,
just
no,
wrap it up quick.
this is a lot of fun. This is great.
Okay. So I'll quickly wrap up others as well. So okay, when we talk about for the Aquarius Lagna natives, so see, what I personally feel, Christina, for the Aquarius Lagna, Saturn has been there in their first house from the past 2.5 years. Whether it's your moon sign, whether it's your rising sign, even in the original Kalpurush Kundli, first house carries the energy of the Aries. So that means Saturn brings a lot of judgment, lot of pressure over onto you. And just because for the Aquarians, Saturn has got a rulership over their 12th house as well. So what they attract in their life is something regarding which they do not have even any idea. It's like, something done in the past, something, like suddenly you feel that, okay, why this person used to be my close friend? Now that person has, started dealing me like an enemy or being very hostile to me, because all of that energy from the 12th house is also coming over there. So the person whom you see as a good friend, in his mind that person might not be having good feelings for you, good kind of intention for you. And this is how Saturn works. Whenever it is pulling in the energy of the 12th house, and that is coming in our first house. But now finally, Saturn is going to be leaving their ascendant, and it is going to be moving to their second house, and it is there in the Pisces sign. So that means a lot of the purification, lot of the cleansing, which will happen in the matters of their second house. We generally say this thing that second house has got more to do with the our virtues, our values. So let's say, for example, if there have been certain things which have been stopping you, like this could be a case that your own ideologies, your own philosophies is coming in the way. So Saturn might work over there. If there have been some poor judgment in the matters of the finances, which you have, like any of the foolish or the wrong investments which you have done in the past, we say the punishment or the dand of that might also come over here. But generally, in a nutshell, it has been seen people who generally lay foundation and contribute a lot to their family, to their roots. I've seen, like like some of the cases where people who have been living in US, who migrated to the foreign countries, they made a good name for themselves, they made good money, and this is going to be the time when they life calls them back to their roots. and they do some investments over there. Okay, even like the kind of money which I have made in the States and all, it's not much. I can just make a kind of a holiday home in my hometown, so that once in a while, if my children or I'm visiting, so I have a place to to stay, something like that. So yes, regarding that, this could be a good time for them. So the energy of the 12th house, energy of the first house is going there in the second house during this time. There's a slight possibility that because of taking care of anyone close in their family, this could be a medical expense of a close immediate family member as well. There's a lot of the spending and the money which will be gone in order to take care or support any of the person in the immediate family as well. So this could be the medical expense as well. We say this thing that second house is also connected with the people who take care of us, like our servants and all. And Saturn is obviously, out of all the planets, Saturn is connected and seen as a servant only. So that means during this time, the best remedy for the Aquarius Lagna native is that respect and take good care of all those people who look after you. This could be your servant, this could be your maids and all. So be as respectful as you could be to them. And yes, majorly this is what I'm seeing. The vulnerability is coming in that there could be some medical expense on the account of the immediate family member. You have to be mindful of that. A very good time for the Aquarius Lagna natives in terms of doing some investments for safeguarding or securing their future. This could be any investments in their hometown as well, to their family, ancestral property, and something that can also be foreseen. So yes, this is how I'm seeing. It is actually going to be a sigh of relief. Saturn finally leaving their first house. That means a big load of the judgment. And if they have been any of the Aquarius Lagna in the past like 2.5 years, they have been subjected to, this could be court case, this could be health related concern, office politics, being judged, being sidelined, being sidetracked. So this is going to be the time when they will experience that now finally there is a shift, a pressure is being uplifted from my head. So this is how it is going to be working for them. Now, shall I include the Pisces as well, or Krishna, you want to add something?
I think that's great. The only
Yeah.
thing I could think of adding to the Aquarius is when I think of second house, um, with the food, is maybe they might be doing a diet change, right? Or they might be thinking about more of what they're putting into their body at this time. Because I've noticed sometimes when you have Saturn move from the ascendant into the second house, you're going from this time where you're feeling under pressure and maybe you're judging yourself a lot, but in that you start to realize these are the changes that I need to make. And the changes either need to come in the form of a diet or in the value system,
Yes.
or
Beyond.
a return to, like you said, a return to the value system that maybe they were raised with. Maybe they've gone through this time where they've explored different avenues of their personality, and they thought they might be one way, but maybe now they're starting to realize that they're more aligned with the person that they were in the past, or with the values that they were raised with.
And lastly, our Pisces friends. So for the Pisces Lagna natives, Saturn is going to be transiting in their first house over their ascendant and carrying the energy of the 11th house and the 12th house. So yes, beyond any doubt, Saturn's transit to the first house, and again, it all comes down to the kind of role which Saturn plays for that rising sign. So I personally feel that we say this thing that that body of judiciary and justice with a weighing scale in the hand and something. So this is what is going to be operating over them, because Saturn is a planet of judgment for everyone. In their case, it has got a say and control over both the houses of the gains and the losses. And coming to the first house, so I mean to say that yes, they are going to be very much subjected to their own deeds and actions of the past are going to be getting matured, are going to be getting ripe. The karma which is ripe to be giving result is how this is going to be working for them. We say this thing that they have to be very mindful. Those people in whose case they are already entangled those people who are already entangled into any ongoing inquiry, investigation, lawsuit related problem, the problems can increase for them. So they have to be very careful. Along with that, see, the thing is, Saturn is generally seen as the significator of the 12th house as well. And Rahu is going to be very potent, very powerful over there. So I mean to say, like, if they are already working in a capacity, like over where we talk about, like where you have a very grandiose or big investment or big vision for your career, like major big investments and all. Like the way we say like people like, Elon Musk, people like even in India, Gautam Adani and something. So we say this thing that again, astrology also works on the basis of in which capacity and which dignity you're operating in your life. So people generally who are like, people who are the owner of the big businesses, people who are the, big politicians, big diplomats, so these are those kind of people who generally have a major shift in their career. People who actually experience major shift in their career, this could be something like that. But if I were to say yes, it is only going to be problematic for people who are already halfway or entangled into court case, litigation, lawsuit, any dispute. It is going to be very difficult time for them. For people who are majorly invested in something of the domain of the big expansion, acquisition of the companies, or like this could be a case of launching a brand, import export nature of work, aviation industry, and all those people can slightly still get benefited. And honestly speaking, like people who are like, politicians, people who have their, like I've seen not many charts from India, people who have many of the orphanages, people who have many of the charitable institutions, people who are the head of many NGOs. So like those kind of people who are purely living their life with the those Saturnian standards. So generally in those kind of cases we say that, people who get awarded, rewarded by the government and all. So like for their contribution, society rewards them. So this could be looked at in that way as well. Saturn's transit to the Pisces is not that not that wonderful because yeah. So I'm not seeing much of the health crisis and all, which could be a case of Saturn in the Aries, Saturn in the Cancer and all. So I'm not seeing much of the health related concern. It's just like that. People who are in between lawsuit, they have to be careful. Overall, I'm seeing that yes, a major life shift is going to take place. Duties, responsibilities are going to increase, which could also happen because of the promotion, and yes, they have to be very mindful of their public image, because Rahu in the 12th house, there is going to be a lot of temptation to cut the corners, get any deal signed, behind the scene and all. So just don't succumb to any temptation, shortcuts and all. Keep on doing hard work, and if they have already earned any recognition, any government reward and something, that can also happen with this entry of Saturn in their first house. So
That's
that's
great. Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is if people with the Pisces Lagna are planning to move out of the country, a foreign place, make sure you see the property before you move into it. Make sure that you look at every single aspect of that, because there are some types of things called sight unseen where people buy the property without actually going to the property. And then when they get there, they realize that it's not what they thought. So I think that Rahu in that 12th house could be operating in that energy. It might be almost too good to be true. So I would say just be cautious if you're trying to move abroad, or even if you're trying to take a vacation somewhere, that you've never been before. Make sure that you pick a reputable company, to do the vacation with. Like if you're going on a cruise, because you think about Revati, I honestly think about overseas cruise. You said you wanted to go on a cruise, and I thought this is totally Revati energy. So there's
yeah.
probably going to be a lot of people that want to go on a cruise. So make sure you find a good company, make sure that they have all the things that you want, because once you're on that boat, that's it. You're on the boat for like a week. So you got to make sure that you like what they're offering. So just, be cautious with that if you have a Pisces ascendant and you're wanting to move somewhere.
Yeah, amazing, Christina. It's like it all started because it was a Saturday, and even today, just for the audience, at the time when we are doing this session, transiting Moon is conjunct with Ketu as well. So
Mm.
yeah, the whole theme of today was very esoteric, very spiritual. I also keep fasting on Saturdays and all, and it's a big transit. Again, Christina, I would say that I have done a couple of rounds of this transit of my inputs and all, but just when you bring another expert on the panel on the discussion, and see, we got to know the same transit, we get to learn it from your point of view as well, because it's open to so many interpretation, right? Saturn is like significant of so many houses, it has got its aspect and so many things. So yes, it was great, Christina, for you to come over as a guest again, and
Thank
kind of help our audience understand that how it is going to be impacting their life. You actually gave a lot of the positivity, because I was a bad doctor in this. You were the good doctor. But yes, we need to look at it from both perspective. So thanks a lot, Christina, and we look
Yes.
forward to again bringing you on the board for some other discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so
Anil.
much for putting